The rain poured down as Daniel pressed a trembling hand to his chest, staring at the black limousine parked outside his worn-down apartment building. The driver, tall, dressed in a sharp black suit, stepped out, holding an envelope sealed in gold. "Mr. Daniel Hayes?" the driver asked in a low, respectful tone. Daniel nodded, confused. "The lady you helped, she sent me." Inside the envelope was a letter, and a check. But what was written above the amount froze him completely. "For saving me that night. You didn't just change one life, you changed 3. The camera fades to black as we hear Daniel whisper, voice trembling, "Who was she?" He was the kind who'd give his last slice of bread to his daughter, Emma, before ever taking a bite himself. Every morning, he packed her school lunch with whatever he could find, kissed her forehead, and promised, "Daddy's gonna make things better soon." But promises don't pay bills, and Daniel was already behind on rent, power, and everything in between. That Friday night, after finishing his shift at a small car repair shop, Daniel stopped by a modest diner near the city center. He wasn't there to eat, just to sip a cup of cheap coffee while filling out another failed job application. At the next table sat a woman, elegant, quiet, and strangely alone. Her dress screamed wealth, but her eyes told a different story. She seemed broken. Daniel noticed how 2 men at the bar started whispering, pointing, and laughing in her direction. The woman's hand trembled as she tried to ignore them. Minutes later, one of the men stood, swaggered over, and placed his hand on her shoulder. "Come on, sweetheart, one drink won't kill you." She tried to push him away, but the man laughed louder. The entire diner went silent, everyone watching, no one moving, except Daniel. He stood up so fast his chair toppled over. "Hey," he said firmly. She said no. The man turned, sneering. "What's it to you, mechanic?" "Everything," Daniel replied, stepping between them. "You don't touch a woman who doesn't want to be touched." The diner owner shouted for calm, but it was too late. The man shoved Daniel hard. Daniel didn't fight back at first. But when the man raised his hand again, Daniel grabbed it midair and twisted it down, his old self-defense instincts kicking in. Within seconds, the troublemakers left, cursing and stumbling into the rain. The woman sat frozen, eyes wide. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered. Daniel smiled softly. No one else was going to. As she composed herself, she introduced herself only as Clara. She thanked him quietly and offered to pay for his meal, but he refused. "Just be safe," he said. "That's enough, thanks." He left before she could even ask his name. That night, Daniel returned home to Emma, who was asleep on the couch, clutching a drawing that said, "Me and Daddy, my hero." He smiled sadly, unaware that his small act of courage at that diner was about to change everything. Daniel's morning started like every other, late bills, cold coffee, and a daughter asking if Santa comes even when you're poor. He laughed, brushing her hair back. "Santa loves brave little girls. Don't you worry." Then came the knock. A heavy, deliberate knock. Outside stood a sleek, black limousine. The driver, stoic, professional, stepped forward. "Mr. Hayes?" Daniel frowned. Yeah." The man handed him an envelope. "From Ms. Clara Whitmore." Daniel blinked. Whitmore? The name echoed in his mind. He'd heard it before, on the news, on billboards. Clara Whitmore, the billionaire CEO of Whitmore Industries. He tore open the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. "You didn't know who I was that night. You didn't care. You stood up when everyone else stayed silent. That's rare in this world. I was on the verge of giving up that night, not just on people, but on myself. You reminded me that goodness still exists. Please accept this small token, not as charity, but as gratitude. And please, let me meet the brave little girl you mentioned when you walked away." Inside was a check for $100,000. Daniel froze. His hands shook. The driver gently added, "Ms. Whitmore requests to see you and your daughter today." "No obligations, sir. Just gratitude." Daniel didn't know what to say. Later that afternoon, Emma and Daniel rode in that same limousine, Emma's face pressed against the glass in wonder. "Daddy, Are we going to a castle? In a way, yes. When they arrived at the Whitmore estate, Clara was waiting at the grand entrance. No makeup, no corporate armor, just a warm smile. She knelt down to Emma's height. You must be the artist who drew Daddy's hero picture. Emma grinned. That's me. Daddy really is a hero. Clara's eyes glistened. She turned to Daniel. You have no idea what that night meant to me. I just left a board meeting where people I trusted tried to ruin me. I felt worthless, until a stranger reminded me I still mattered. Daniel shifted awkwardly. I just did what anyone should. Clara shook her head softly. No, Daniel. Most people don't. From that day forward, Clara made sure Daniel and Emma never struggled again, not by giving them luxury, but by offering opportunity. She offered Daniel a job in her company's maintenance division, later promoting him when she saw his dedication. Emma got a scholarship at one of the best schools in the city. Months later, during the company's annual gala, Clara gave a speech and looked right at Daniel in the crowd.